All right, everybody, good afternoon and welcome on back. Closing out our Friday, finally the end of the week here, May 15th, not March 15th, May 15th, Friday, May 15th, after 2:30 p.m. Eastern time here, guys. Let's get a quick sound check just to begin. Make sure everyone can hear me loud and clear. That goes across, of course, for the trading room and, of course, across social media, Facebook and YouTube alike. Welcome on back, guys. There we go. Great to see everybody at least. Hell of a day so far, though, right? After the Dow being down and horrific, retail sales numbers, we ended up seeing a really nice recovery. You know, the Dow from at least yesterday is up a total 69, 70 plus points, but a major comeback at least off the lows. So, you know, taking us into the afternoon, guys, we've had a few stocks running up very nicely with the market. Alongside that, of course, a few stocks just making some extraordinary runs up and down off of news. So let's hop into it. And actually, first, I told you guys this, at least for those of you here in the trading room, I told you guys this just a moment ago. We got a nice little sponsor today. Not really a sponsor, but I wanted to give a big shout out to one of our longtime students, Andrea C. He had shipped over a nice care package to me just earlier this week. A whole ton of biscotti, a whole bunch of Italian delicacies. Andrea is an Italian baker up in Canada. He has a few bakeries just around. So he ended up sending me my favorite, my hazelnut chocolate biscotti, and I wanted to show you a quick little picture. So just give me a quick second. Should have this dragged up. There we go. So I don't have a webcam, guys, obviously doing this meeting. You don't really have the chance to see my face. Nice fresh baby face, but nonetheless, there's the hazelnut biscotti from Andrea. Thank you so much, Andrea. I really appreciate it. And a little glimpse of my trading setup. I have two computer monitors. I have two TVs hung up there just to work off of course. I'm using one right now to host this meeting. But thank you very much, Andrea. And if you guys would like to check out Andrea's bakery, and bakeries for that matter, you can go right to his website, fornocultura.com. That's FORNOCULTURA.com. Andrea, thank you so much. Oh, you don't want to see too much of me there. Let's minimize me there. There we go. So, nonetheless, let's hop into it, guys. A few stocks, like I had said, that moved up with the market pretty nicely this afternoon. NCLH, RCL, the cruise lines alike, doing a pretty great job still at this point. Let me finagle my charting here. I know I'm stuck on regular. There we go. So nice pop, at least after the market opened up on NCLH, but more so heading into the early afternoon. We called this out. The breakout over 11 ended up running up nicely towards the high. Failed to break higher so far, but nice run up so far this afternoon for the cruise lines. NCLH, RCL moving up a little bit steadier at least. All right. Bonnie says had to cover the need you mentioned for a haircut. That was Fausto earlier this morning, but I need a haircut myself, Bonnie. No, that was Andrea's hat as well. So I wanted to just give a quick shout to Andrea. She's rocking his merch. But nonetheless, RCL ended up making a nice squeeze up as well. So perhaps we'll focus on these guys just on our side list heading into the afternoon. The real big winners from today, of course, as usual, they're on the percent gainers list. We'll begin just really number one, SRNE Sorrento. We ended up seeing them come out with news in relation to COVID-19 antibody testing. So we ended up seeing, obviously, a massive pop. It took a little while, ended up popping at 9:30, but really we ended up seeing the higher run up once this ended up re-breaking above major resistance off of 5. Now, at the time that this breaks over 5, are we expecting this to hit 9? No. But hey, we had a steady trend. I think this got halted, right? A couple of times. This got halted on the way up, if I'm not mistaken. But this ended up holding a really steady trend through the entire run up. But you have to expect for such a beautiful run up, well, when is it going to pull back, right? It's better to be safe than to be sorry. So I saw a bunch of us guys go in this trade in and out for about 40, 50, 60 cents a pop. Guys, those are home runs no matter what, regardless of how far SRNE squeezes up to, because what goes up eventually comes scorching back down. So we ended up seeing this just shake right off of 9, as you guys can see there, all the way down to 6. It's been kind of shaking around in between 650 and 7 for right now. I have no problem adding this to our main list. It's just, look at the volume, 421 million shares traded across the day. Are you kidding me? So, I'd like to think, given such an extensive run up, it certainly exhausted itself out. So I will put this on our list for right now. If this ends up being a classic Josh 20 stock watch list, I'll probably scratch this one off, to be honest with you. All right, so number 2, the second star of the day, ACB. Aurora Cannabis. And this one, is looking pretty strong. Given the volume as well, 80 plus million shares, this thing is still squeezing up higher towards, well, up to the high rather, 1162. But, ACB, we ended up seeing make a nice pop, shortly after the open, and ended up re-breaking above resistance at 10, later on going into the early afternoon. I was looking for the pullback down to 10. And, shoulda, coulda, woulda. I think it went down to a low of like $10.15 there before it ultimately squeezed up. Listen, I'm not going to try and get, greedy and just jump into the trade at 15 cents higher, for such a big run up. I was expecting a nasty shakedown. We got it, but it didn't end up coming back down to that whole number support. And if anything, 975 I was using as like a backup level. But it ended up running up, as you could see now. It's beginning to pull back a lot further. So, I hope that this is not the end of the long run, at least on this ACB trade for the day. Again, though, given the volume traded total, compared to how much it trades on a daily basis, it's very easy to anticipate this stock to have kind of exhausted itself out, and for a stock up 65%, perhaps to see it pull back further. So maybe we will get this pullback down to 10 or 975 by the end of the day. Again, another stock like the SRNE, I have no problem just adding to our list right now. If we find better opportunities, guys, stocks that are setting themselves up to make a stronger move up or down going into the afternoon, then I'm going to look to prioritize those over these ones. I've said it once, I'll say it a million times. For a stock that makes one big move up across the day, you normally don't expect to see it make a second clean big run up going into the close. So for that matter, again, we'll keep these on our lists for right now, just because, what a run. It is possible, but I'd like to see if there are any stocks that are setting themselves up for, a bigger move. So what we'll do, and for anything else that we ended up trading at least earlier, we'll quickly recap. The Sava trade certainly is one I want to jump to, but that's on the losers list. We'll get to that in a moment. Let's just go from top to bottom right now, guys. CRDF. Now, I remember this symbol. This symbol was, called out kind of recently. It's not one that we tend to trade too much, but I remember this CRDF. Yep, this was a pre-market popper back a couple days ago. You could see it on the daily chart briefly, but I remember that this was, running up early. It pulled back after the open. At the time, just quickly here, I was looking for a breakout because there was this huge iceberg order at 132, like 133. This big volume spike likely represents some prints that were filled there. Nonetheless, it never broke. I didn't get in, and it just kind of dudded out, for the past couple of days. But here we are now. This thing is running up very nicely. So leads you to think, what was the plan all along, at least, with seeing that pull back a few days ago. So, the CRDF, I really like. And put this near the top, at the top. CRDF. Slow, steady trends. You got resistance. Well, looks like off the high. I would anticipate 2 to be a pretty big level, though, although there's not much volume showing there. All right. JCPenney. So retail is pushing up earlier this morning and throughout this afternoon, despite the bad numbers. Just want to quickly hop over to stocks like Macy's, Nordstrom, Kohl's. We ended up calling them out earlier. I think one of our students did. I want to give a shout to Chuck, if I'm not mistaken, Chuck C, in our chat board here. Ended up calling out Macy's off the breakout. It was running up pretty nicely, and everything else was moving up alongside with it. Kohl's, KSS, JWN, Nordstrom. All right. So those were all, good trades, and perhaps ones that we'll kind of keep on our side list for right now. JCPenney, though, hopping back to this. Very cheap, of course, and it's squeezing up pretty nicely at this point in the afternoon. For as much as this stock has dropped, not even just across the last month and a half or so. I'm talking like the last 5 years. This was a $10 stock back in 2014 and much higher years back. So perhaps we'll see continuation of a short squeeze heading into the close. So for right now, I don't mind adding the JCP. I like that CRDF, though, the most, though, so far. This little squeeze up here on JCPenney. This is the type of stock, guys. Again, don't try and get greedy. If it ends up running up 50 cents, God bless. That's not my expectation. That's just a random number I kind of shouted to you. If we could pick up 5 or 6 cents on this trade, that's a big hit for a 25-cent stock. That's a big run, guys. So, just think of the move that you're trying to get in relation to the price of the stock, how far it's run up so far. So just simply put with JCP, just be careful because it's easy to trade a lot of shares on this. All right, BLIN. Still up 33%. This thing, it was up like 150% earlier this morning. Ended up breaking out shortly after the open, or at least leading into the open. Fortunately, though, has crapped out since. Yeah, I mean, for right now, I'm not going to put this on our main list. You know, I just feel like it's only going to continue to break lower heading into the close. SNDL, pretty slow. All right, cool. So now at this point, what we'll do is kind of just, you know, cherry pick from top to bottom. I will rather go back quickly. We're not going to add the CHK to our list so far. Maybe if it could re-break above that 1150, but very light orders on the ECN book. You have an iceberg there at 1125. That part's pretty interesting. You can see it's popping in and out right now live. 15,000 plus shares at 1125. If that gets filled, I'd like to think this thing's going to tank. If it holds, then maybe it will squeeze up. Again, looking at the daily chart, this thing's been split over and over. And recently, I think it was over the last month, if I'm not mistaken, CHK. So we ended up seeing a very nice run up, ended up getting halted on the way up, halted on the way down. And when a stock gets halted on the way down, usually that's the end of the run. So huge drop off. It did make a bit of a squeeze back up, but it's been kind of flat since. So for right now, I'm not going to put this on our main list. Maybe if it breaks that 1150, someone shout it out, but we'll see if there are better opportunities. This BXRX is definitely one for right now I'd like to focus on. Ended up just making a new breakout earlier. You can see the double top essentially off of 440, popped pretty straight through that price up to 5 and has squeezed back down since. I hope that's not the end of the run, of course, just seeing such a big volume pop. And then at that point, it kind of crapped out, you know, so you hope to see support hold here. If not here, then maybe at 430 and then to see it squeeze back up again. So, you know, again, BXRX, I'll put this on our list. Notice the tone, guys. It's a Friday afternoon here. The tone of my voice, like that CRDF, I'm really interested in still. JCPenney's could be a good one. It's a cheapie, but nothing really I'm drooling over like from earlier with Saba. Oh man, we'll get to that in a moment. Seal, look at this. Familiar name, at least to a few of us here in this trading room. We ended up seeing a Seal make a nice run up. This was maybe a few months back. It was a tease of a stock, though, at the time. And, I mean, you kind of take your eyes off some of these trades after a while. You know, we don't really tend to fall in love with one stock in particular over another, unless if it ends up moving with the market, like the cruise lines, but that's a different story. You know, we took our eyes off Seal for a while. This thing, I guess, just got obliterated. So ended up getting just pulled back all the way down below $1, and here it is at least squeezing up to $1. You know, it's on a nice trend. Again, kind of cheap, nice little runner so far. If it could squeeze up over $1, you know, that would be of interest to me. I don't like focusing too much on these cheapies. So for right now, I want to see if there's anything maybe over $1, anything making a stronger push. All right, TTPH, this is more of a dud. Popped earlier in the morning. This trade kind of reminded me of the AIM trade, AIM. This was back yesterday. Popped up early, ran about 45 cents, then dudded out, and that's what you're seeing here. So pass on this trade. VRML. All right, cool. Let me just get back to my price here. I saw Ben call out this GERN trade, GERN. An oldie here. The stock is a familiar name years back, running off of news. Another one I think that got just like obliterated over time. Let me see here. It's on the daily chart. Oh, yeah. Yep. The last time we were trading GERN, the last real time that we were following the stock, it was back in mid to late 2018. Huge gap down. Ran up nicely before that point. That's where we were really trading it. All right. DKNGW, and that would mean that DKNG DraftKings, they posted earnings earlier this morning, right? Broke a new all-time high up towards 29.40. You know, it's kind of holding support for right now. I mean, a higher low rather, 28.30, 28.50. Look to see if it could break above resistance, break a higher high perhaps. But you know what? Yeah, we'll put this on our list here for right now, DKNG, in hopes of just continuation. Now, if we end up, like I'd said, guys, with like a 15, 20 stock list here, I'm going to start scratching a couple things off, like I'd said from before. There's nothing really too in particular I'm like drooling over. Nothing really I'm too in love with right now at this point. That CRDF, again, that one's looking good. SNCA, another dud from earlier today. This one had a great opportunity to see, you know, continue shortly after the open. Just looking at the range on the daily chart, very similar to TTPH, very similar to a lot of these. BLIN, JCPenney, obviously, and ACB. Just looking at the huge drop off on the daily chart, it leads to a potential squeeze should we see a strong resistance level break. Didn't get it. It's unfortunate. So maybe in due time this stock, but I'm not going to bank on it. It's SNCA. All right. What else we got, guys? This is up 16%, so we still have a lot more to go on the gainer side before we even hop over to the losers. GNC. Another one that's taken a beating over the last year and a half or so, plus. A little slow for right now. All right, CGC pot stock. Look at this. This is why we have to go through this list, guys, in full, because we're going to find opportunities like Canopy Growth CGC. And this is running up pretty nicely. How about this for my Baker friend Andrea here in the trading room? This is one of his favorite stocks. So double time, Andrea. You got the Forno Contura sponsor plus your CGC's up big. All right. Well, I'll tell you guys, CGC's up big. Let's see if ACB is squeezing back up. It's holding. Now, I just want to quickly jump over to one other stock because CGC is moving up. I want to take a look at Tilray very quickly, guys. Tilray, pot stock. It's just a little slow right now. I'm hoping for a huge push into the close. I'm currently long on this trade. I've been long from 750. I'm not going to put this on our main list yet. I wanted to just check it out because of CGC. Maybe we'll look at Kronos. I think Kronos posted earnings too. Kron, 550. All right. Getting a couple of shouts right now, guys, really quickly. I was going to come back to the chat board and across social media here in a moment, but I got CLVS, a few shouts on CLVS. Yes, absolutely. So CLVS, what's the news on this, guys? Looking in the chat board right now. FDA access data link for companies, something above my pay grade. So I guess good news for CLVS, approved by FDA, Jerry says. All right, we'll take it, right? So nice pop and a pullback. That thing's pulled back pretty big so far. That leads me to think one of two things. It's going to make a lower high here off 10 and fizzle out. Or, given that pullback, should this thing break higher, my goodness, this could be a hell of a run. So yes, CLVS we will feature near the top of the list. See, now we got a couple stocks that I'm in love with now. CGC, CLVS. All right, cool. What else we got? Anything else on the gainer side here? Familiar names, anything of interest? NVAX, maybe we'll check out. And VAX ended up not breaking an all-time high. I thought it was breaking an all-time high the other day. It was not. Still has a little bit of a ways to go, but still running up, though, of course, as you could see. I mean, it's all over the place. I mean, it ended up running from 38 to 46, then a shake back down to 42, moving back up to make a lower high at 45, and then here we are now. So definitely a level 5 stock. I'm not going to put this on our main list just yet. If you end up focused, if you ended up trading this at rather from earlier today, from the last few days, you know who you are. I'm sure that you're going to focus on a stock like this heading into the close. Definitely a level 5, but I want to see if there's anything more like level 1 to 3 in terms of volatility. So I guess what we'll do is hop over to the losers list. I've been looking forward to recapping the Sava trade. So we ended up obviously focusing in on Sava from earlier this morning. Fausto was calling this out early in pre-market, ended up getting crushed off of bad news. Phase 2 did not meet primary endpoint. And shortly after the open, guys, this was the trade of the day, I think, in my opinion. For a $1.80 stock to squeeze up this quickly up towards almost 3. I mean, you got to figure, though, again, similar to ACB, it had a few halts on the way up. It's going to get halted on the way down eventually. And when it did, it ended up just kind of just tailing off for a while. So the Sava trade was fun while it lasted. It is beginning to squeeze up here, rather. I mean, it's breaking above 220, which was a big level I was watching earlier. 2 big levels I was focused on, 220 and 230. You know, it's hard to ignore a stock that's down 73% still at this point in the day. But, you know, Ben was mentioning this earlier, the amount of shares traded today compared to the float. So, you know, it had exhausted itself out for a long while, as you could see. I wasn't really planning on putting this on our list, just given that. But this pop leads me to think otherwise. Be careful around 220 here. I feel like this first test, I mean, it should hold off 220 the first time. Just hopefully it doesn't make a lower high because the shake back down might be a little bit sharper. So for right now, Sava, I'll put this on our list. All right, bunch of crap, hard to borrow otherwise, but I got to say, a few stocks that are down big, still enough to the point where maybe we could try and get a dead cat bounce. We were looking at Crex earlier, CREX. Still a little slow right now. Maybe on the faster side here, CODX. This doesn't really seem to be making a bounce anytime soon, guys. It's just made a nice rounded top around that 1750. It seems to be dragging back down right now. I mean, I'll put this on our list just given the range. I'd love to see this make a nice run back up again. We followed this off of 17. I got my butt handed to me earlier off of 17. I took a 20-cent loss on 1,000 shares, and then I ended up doing a half-size position from 16. I made the money back and a little some, but man, the thing was nasty. So, you got to be careful on this trade, guys. And that's not just because I lost on it. I mean, listen, guys, this thing is all over the place, up and down across the whole week. So we did so well on this trade across, the earlier parts of this week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Yesterday got crushed. Today, even furthermore. So for right now, I'll put this on our list in hopes of a dead cat bounce, but just follow the trend at first here. I think otherwise, how many do we have so far? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Not too bad. Maybe if we get one or two more, that'll do it. But so far, so good. Let me see. NPTN. Not too much to write home about there. Abercrombie Fitch, FTCH. Oh, no, that's not. What's Abercrombie's symbol then? AEO is American Eagle. I thought FTCH was Abercrombie and Fitch. I guess not. Either way, far-fetched. It's not really doing as much right now. It's crowning up towards 14, 15, the last little spike up here. But nothing really too much more about it. iTrade, Intelsat from yesterday ran up very nicely. Obviously, not so much today. Maybe CMRX, familiar name from yesterday at least. Just pretty flat. All right, guys, what else? Anything else? ANF, that's right, Ray. Thank you very much, Ray H. in the trading room here. ANF, Abercrombie Fitch. Moved up nicely with everything else, retail-wise. All right, going once, going twice. Anything, guys? I'll take it otherwise if we don't have much else. Don't need to force anything on the watch list here. Got CGC, CLVS, TTPH breaking a new low. I'll tell you guys, if I was watching my Benzinga Pro, I would have been alerted about CLVS at the time. So, of course, I was going through some of the other stocks first, but I appreciate the heads up from Ben and I think Chuck there on the CLVS here in our trading room. All right, guys, I think that just about does it. I'll see anything on social, Facebook, YouTube. We're good to go. Otherwise, here in our trading room. All right, so 10 stocks to work with. I'm sure plenty more than that. But start with this list here first, guys. At least, we have a good list already between the pot stocks, between some of the other stocks like the coronavirus stocks like CODX and Sava perhaps as well. That might look to make a higher high heading into the close, as long as it holds over 220. Nonetheless, though, still good opportunity going into the end of this week. So myself and Fausto will be both back on here in the trading room heading into the close. And then aside from that, though, guys, anyone else on social, Facebook, and YouTube that are looking to learn more about what we offer here, just whether it be the online trading room, online classroom, make sure that you call the phone number down below, and one of our education advisors will pick up and provide more detail. All right, guys, let's close out the week strong here, guys, in our trading room. Take care.